So in the last session, we have discussed infix notation and its conversion into a postfix form, and we have seen few examples. And by the end of the session, I just gave a pointer regarding something called as a prefix notation. Sometimes even it is even called as a Polish notation because it was even invented by a Polish scientist. I am not able to recall the full name of the scientist. But as the scientist is a Polish scientist, the prefix expression is also well known as Polish notation. Okay, so let me first quickly revise what we have seen in the last session. Let's say A plus B is the infix, then AB plus is a postfix, and plus AB as prefix notation. Then in the last session, we have seen the process of how we can convert the infix notation into a postfix one used with the help of a stack. In one pass, in one scan, we were able to convert the infix notation into the postfix notation. Now, can we do it similarly for the prefix notation? So by the end of the session, I just gave some pointers using which we can convert the infix expression into the prefix expression with the help of a stack and a postfix expression. So let's begin with one sample of how to do it. Give me 1 minute. The screen is visible. Is the screen visible? Okay. So let's take some expression and we will convert that expression into a infix format. Sorry, from infix to prefix format into the Polish notation. So let's say we have A plus B. Then let's say we are going to do it A plus B plus we want to execute it as let's say there is okay. Let's say this is multiplication, and inside this we have C plus D. Okay, and then this overall expression is divided by E. So this is our expression. Now, in the last session, we have seen how to convert this infix notation into the postfix one. I hope I do not need to repeat this process. So shall we proceed directly with the conversion of infix into prefix? I'm sure that we do not need to revise any point. Yes? Okay, great. Okay, so let's directly proceed to convert this infix format into the prefix format. So we are going to make use of the process that we have seen in the last session, like converting a notation into the postfix format. And then that postfix expression can help us to achieve a prefix expression. So the first step, this is one of the process. There are other procedures available. So this is the process that is quite simple because you have already understood the conversion of infix to postfix. So what you can do is, let's first of all write this entire expression in a reverse order. So what we will do is we'll reverse the string from right end to the left hand. We'll parse the string and we'll print everything as it is. And while reversing, we have to reverse this brackets also. So we will make sure that we are going to reverse the brackets. So if I write this statement in the reverse order, I'll get E divided by into bracket C plus D, okay, and then multiplied by B plus A. So this is the exact expression when we reverse it, E divided by C plus D into B plus A. Now this reversed expression, let's convert it into the postfix format. Now this reverse expression, we will convert it into the postfix format. So the standard procedure, we can write it like, let's say I am scanning a character. So let's say I am entering the ch character. Then let's say this is the expression or the output. You can call it as an output or expression, or maybe postfix directly you can write it here. And let's say what is the status of a stack. Okay, so we have a stack also. So the first letter that we will read is E. Okay, and this is the operand. So we will directly output it as it is, E, no change in the stack. The second character that we are scanning is division operator. So it's a operator. So we have to put it in stack. So we will put it in stack. Then we are scanning brackets. So again, no change in output, and we will put it on stack bracket. The next character that we are scanning is alphabet C. Now let's say E and output the operand directly to the output screen, that is C. The next symbol that we are, and there is no change in the stack. Of course, the stack remains as it is. Then we are going to scan the plus symbol. So it's a operator. So no change in the output, EC. And there is a bracket, and in the bracket we are going to compare the precedence. So this division and the plus we are not supposed to compare, because the division is before the bracket and the plus is coming inside a bracket. So what we have to do is we have to directly push the operator on the stack, because there is a opening bracket. So we will not compare it with anything. If there is anything inside the opening bracket, then only we have to compare the operators for the precedence. Right now, in the opening bracket, this is the first operator, so we can directly push it on the stack. So we have scanned plus. Now the next symbol that we will scan is D. So let's scan D. Now as we scan D, we see D will be my output, and this is my stack. Okay. Now after D, we are scanning the closing bracket. Now as soon as we scan the closing bracket, what we have to do is, like the standard procedure, we have to remove everything from the stack till the point we are not going to reach to the closing bracket, right? So we will write plus here after D. And as we remove plus, then we are reaching the final symbol, that is a closing bracket. Then we have to stop removal operation. So we have a division. Now we are reading the multiplication operation. Now, if we look at the status of the stack, this is the output, and in my stack, I have a division operator. Now, the precedence of a division and multiplication is same. So we know that this is the left association rule, and if we have operations which are at the same level, in that case, we have to execute the operation which has appeared first, that is on the left-hand side of the expression. So what we have to do is we shall pop out this division and then push the multiplication on the stack. So we popped out the existing symbol to the expression, and then we added the new symbol to the stack. After that, we are reading the next thing is B. So my status of the output will be ECD plus divide, and now I will add B to the expression, and on the stack I'll have still only the multiplication symbol. Right. So is it visible? Can you see the data, or it's too short? Okay, great. Now the next thing that I'll scan is plus. So I'll write plus here. Now let's go with ECD plus divide B, and then we have a multiplication operator, and we are scanning the plus one. Plus symbol is scanned. Now here we know that the multiplication have a higher precedence over the plus. So what we have to do is we have to pop this plus on the output. So we will write plus here, and on the stack we have to remove this multiplication symbol. So let me remove this multiplication symbol. Sorry, I have to push the plus on the stack, and this multiplication symbol will be popped out. So here I'll get a multiplication symbol. I'll get a multiplication symbol here, and on the stack, I'll push plus. Now the next thing that I'll scan is A. Then let's rewrite what is the expression E. Then we have, let's say I have E, then we have C, D plus divide by B and star, and the final is A. And on the stack, I'll have only plus symbol remaining. So I'll just output it as it is. And this will be my postfix expression for the reversed input, for the reversed input. Now, if we reverse it again as it is, now how we can reverse it? If I write like plus A, then multiplied it with the B, okay, plus A multiplication with B, division operation, and then plus, let's say D and C and E. Okay. So if I do it in the reverse order, here one mistake I've done. Here I should write not CD. Here I should write D plus C. So I have to just interchange the position of this C and D to DC. This is the mistake that we have done. Okay. So let me correct it here. It's DC. It's D and C. It's D and C. Only the things change here. So similarly, here I have to write in the reverse order. I'll get C first. Here, let me take the eraser. Here, let me take the eraser and just write, let's write C and then D and then E. Okay, so this will be the final output, the infix conversion. And if we apply our direct theory of doing it, converting the expression into the infix expression, what we can do is we can read this statement and give the priority to the brackets. Now, if I solve this bracket plus, and if I convert it, I'll write simply plus CD as a first level scan. Then this remaining expression as it is, A plus B multiplied by, now this entire CD represents one entity, and then divided by E. Then of course left hand side we have multiplication symbol. So what I'll write is A plus star B I have plus CD I'll get, okay, and then divide by E. Then over this again I have to apply, let's say A plus divide by star B, then plus CD, and then E, and then last will be plus A divided by star B plus CDE. I guess here also I've made a mistake because this division has to be changed. The B operator has to come on the left hand side. So I guess while writing I've done that. Star B divided by A. So here somewhere I've made an error in pushing the operator. So this should be the expected string CDE plus, up to here it is correct. Then I need B, and then I need star, and then I need divide. So here in this case I have made a mistake. Let me correct the thing. So let's revise the story. I guess here from somewhere I've made a error. Let me correct it. Okay. So let me write, let me start again. So let's write, I have a character, then the output, and then the stack. Let's let's see, this is my input and I have to reverse it. So what I'll do is I'll simply write here A. Okay. So we have to reverse this. So I'll just say E. Then I have a division operator, and then this is the bracket. I shall reverse it to. Then I have D inside this plus C bracket complete multiplied by B plus A. I hope this is the perfect string that is reversed. Okay. I guess I haven't made any mistake this time while reversing. Let's immediately do it. First symbol is E. I'll directly output. Then I have operator. So no change in output on the stack. We will push division. Then we are scanning the bracket. So no change in output, only E, but on the stack we will push the bracket. Then we are scanning D. So ED will be the output, and there is no change on the stack. Then the next symbol is plus. So I will write E, then D, and then on the stack in the bracket, we will write plus. Then we are reading C is the character. So E, D, and C is what we have read. There is no change in the stack. Okay, then we are reading the closing bracket. So this is the closing bracket. So obviously E, D, C, and whatever is there before the closing bracket, we have to pop it out. So I'll simply pop out plus symbol, and on the stack, it will remain only the division operator. Then obviously we are scanning the multiplication symbol. So I'll say E, D, C, plus, and then multiply. Sorry, here I have to take division out of the stack. Okay, and then push multiplication. That's fine. Now I have read B, so I'll write E, D, C plus division, and B will be outputted. Then you have plus, so E, D, C plus division B. Star is what I have to pop out because plus is having the less precedence. Okay, here it was star, and now on the stack I'll have only plus symbol. The last thing that I have to scan is A, so it will say EDC plus division B star, and then plus, of course. And okay, so plus has been scanned. No, not plus. I have to just insert the character, which is operand, and on the stack, the last entity is plus. And as a last step, that is popping out the remaining stack because the expression has finished, plus division B star A plus. So this is my postfix form. If I reverse it, plus A star B division of plus CD and E. Let me directly convert it here. I'll give highest priority to the bracket. So I'll say CD, CD plus, then I have BC star. That is right or not? And then bracket is been solved. Then I should solve like B plus CD star. Is that the part of the string? So solving the multiplication first. I have to write divided by E, then divided by star B plus CD E. So A plus, here there is one problem that is raising with my approach. I guess I am making some mistakes. Should I pop it out when there is a equal precedence? It's a left associativity. So while having a reverse string, I should pop it out in the prefix notation. Is anyone getting any error that I've made? Because I'm making the same error. Error might be because when we reverse it. Okay, who was it?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, you should not pop out the same precedence operations in prefix.
So that was the error that I was making.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So here I will, on the stack, I'll keep the divide and I'll push the star, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's follow from the step number here. So let me erase it. Let me erase this. So up to division, everything is fine. So I've just crossed closing operator, and then I've got, now next thing that I'll read is a multiplication. We have to verify this. Let me say multiplication is the next character. So I'll write EDC plus divide by and multiply. After that, I'm reading B. So I'll write EDC plus B divide and multiply. And then I'm getting plus on the screen. So obviously I have to pop out the operations. Now I'll write B and then division. And then I'll push plus on the stack. And then I'll read the last character. So EDC plus B star divide by, and then here A and plus on the stack. So the last string I will write here, the last string is coming as EDC plus B multiplication division A plus, if I reverse it, plus A divide by star B plus C, D, and E. Is it the exact thing that we have? Is it exact thing? Yes, it is exact thing. So here the error was made. Here the error was made. So we will keep it in mind that when we are reversing, let's not remove the equal level precedence. Okay. In the case of, at least in the case of multiplication and division. Okay. So one corner case, is it clear how to convert a infix into prefix? Is it clear how to convert infix into prefix? Okay, great. So there is one corner case. Let me discuss that. So what is the corner case? I hope you people are able to see the entire screen now. So let's try one mathematical expression. So let's say let's y one. Let's say 3 plus or 3 multiplied by let's say 2 and divide by 2. Now with the left association, what we mean that we have to evaluate this 3 into 2 plus. So I'll have to write 6 here, and then I'll divide by 2 it, and then I'll say final result is equal to 3. But if we do it in the reverse way, like multiplied by 3, 2 divided by 2 will be 1 into 3. So again, I'll get a result as 2. For example, if we do it like this, 2 divided by 2, I'll write 1, and then 3 into 1, 3. But if we just do some other kind of operation, for example, let's do this story. Let's say we have some number, let's say 6. 6 is, we are dividing 6 by 4 and then multiply it with the 2. Now, if we do it in different order, the answer may change. For example, let's do it in this type. Let's say 2, not 4. Let's get a complete result. So if I do divide 6 by 2, I'll get here 3, and into 2, I should get 6, right? But if we, let's say, multiply this operation 2 into 2 plus, so I'll get 6 divided by 4, and this will be a different answer. So if I do 6 divided by 4, 6 divided by 4, I'll get 1.5. Is that right? Yeah, 1.5 is the output, right? Whereas if we are doing it in a different way, like performing division first, then 6 divided by 2. Let's see how calculator is doing it. So if I do it like this, 6 divided by 2 multiplied by 2 equal to, so you know that the correct answer is 6. So what we are doing is, when we are performing a operation which are at the same level, then we have to execute them from left to right, right? So if in some operations, if we change the order in which we are going to execute it, like if somebody decides to execute multiplication over the division, in this case, if you execute this part, like in the expression 6 divided by 2 multiplied by 2, the first thing that we are supposed to execute is this part. If we execute the second part first, then the resulting answer, the result will not match with what we are expecting, right? So from left to right means we will execute this part first, and the result of this we have to continue with the second operation. Are we clear what I'm saying left to right? So even we see the calculator will follow the left to right rule. Okay. There is one more similar operation wherein the association is from right to left. Association is from right to left. For example, if I write like this, 3 raised to, let's say, 2, 3 raised to 2 raised to 2. Now, if we are doing this operation, then performing 3 raised to 2 and then this overall raised to 2 may have a different result than having operation 3 raised to 2 raised to 2 in the order like performing 2 raised to 2 and then taking 3 raised to 2 of what is the result of 2 raised to 2. So this results may be different depending on what numbers we are executing this task. So whenever you see a exponential operation, that time the order is from right to left. So if let's say I have a raised to b and then b raised to c, this is the expression that we have. So in that case, you should evaluate the right part first, and then you should evaluate the left part. So take the exponential of b in terms of c, and then that value, those many number of times you have to take exponential of a. So in the case of exponential, make sure that the association is from right to left. Whereas with the multiplication, the association is from left to right. We have to follow this order. Take care of this. For example, if I write an expression like this, a plus b c and again d, and if I want to execute it into the post, or I want to convert it into the postfix notation, then I'll give preference to solve this first, not to solve b exponential of c. Whereas if this operator is multiplication or a division, then we will solve the left side first. But in the case of exponential operation, we have to solve it from right side to left side. So we should solve like this: c d's exponentiation. This result will be taken as an exponential with the b, then I'll write ab. This is the first step, and on the next step we will write b c d exponential of this, and then a plus, and the final will be a b c d double exponential and plus. Are you with me what I'm saying? Yes, no? Is it clear? Only in the case of exponential operation, you have to make sure that you will solve it from right to left, not from left to right. Okay. Any doubt in this? Any doubt in this? Okay. So what is the application of this? We have to use this postfix expression to evaluate a mathematical expression and get a final result. So the now first thing is we have to make use of a stack program. Whatever we have developed, the same logic we have to apply, and then we have to develop a program to convert a infix expression into the postfix expression. So that is the first level task assignment that we have to convert a infix notation into the postfix notation. That is one of the tasks. Now, as soon as you proceed with conversion of infix into the postfix, the next task will be evaluating a mathematical expression. So that will be the another task, another program that we will implement. Okay. So with this, we have to proceed with the understanding of what is Q. Shall we proceed with the Q? Or if anyone have a doubt in this or maybe any in the stack, you can ask me. Otherwise, I'll start with the Qs. Okay, so let's start with the Q. So in the case of a queue, let's say this is the structure that we are going to make use of, array. And we have to use this array instead of a stack operation like a push and pop using one end. And that end was, we were using that index as top. Now, if I assume this same array, it has to work as in a queue. Now, you people have seen queue in our real life also, right? So this queue is nothing different than the queue that we see in the day-to-day life. Like the person, what is the difference in the stack and a queue? Both are, let's say we are implementing a queue with the help of the array, then both are the arrays. How we are inserting the information in the array and how we are removing the information from the array, that is the algorithm. Now, one algorithm we are calling it as a stack. Now, there is a different algorithm we are going to call it as in a queue. Okay, both work in the linear type. Both works in the linear type. So we can say that both are the linear structures. Now, as you know that if let's say there is some service, let's say there is some service and we are going to avail that service, then there is a customer one who appears at the counter for and in the queue. The new person who is going to join or who is going to wait for the service has to add himself or just have to go and stand next to the first person. So let's say this is person one. The new person will go and stack to the first person and the second person will be in the queue. Any other person who is going to enter in the queue will follow the second person. This will be the third person. Now, if we let's say the service counter is following the stack, if let's say the service counter is following the stack, then what is the problem? In the stack, we have last in, first out. Somebody has unmuted. Please mute yourself because I'm getting some background noise. माझ्या तरी घरातलं ऐकू लागलं सगळं. जरा mute करा. Shwetali Lohar, please mute yourself. Okay, thank you. So, if we use the stack to service this, and what we know that the stack, the person who is at the last entering the queue will be served the first. Now, this is the worst scenario because the number one is waiting in the queue from the long time, and if we apply the stack structure, the person who enters into the structure for the last time will be removed first. This is the top, right? So this is not the proper data structure to be used in the case of a service queue, because generally what we do is the thing, the service, the request which is registered first, that service, that request must be handled first, right? So this is the general idea. So stack have a completely different application and different approach wherein we can use it. Like one application we have just seen, conversion of notations from infix to prefix. So we have just seen that. Now, in the case of this service example, wherein there is some service requested by the person, you can't use the stack. You have to use queue, the real life example, right? So let's see how to use it. So what generally say from the real life scenario, this queue have some pointers also. Now, first thing is it will need some storage. So let's say that we are using array to store the items or to store the entities or the store the data. So the person one, person two, person three. So again, it's an array. Now, who have entered in the queue for the first time and who have entered in the queue as a last person, we have to keep track of that. In the case of stack, to keep the track of data, we have only one index. That index is called as top, right? But in the queue, where to add a new person? Okay, so let's say in the stack, we insert the number or we push the number using the top. So we push the number with the help of top. So if I say push 1, I'll be using the index called as a top. At the same time, if I say pop, this pop operation is also going to make use of this top index or the top variable to remove the particular entity from the stack. So it doesn't matter whether we are pushing the element or we are popping out the element, we will be making use of a same index, that is top. But in the case of a queue, we need two indexes. One index to give service to whom you will give service. So here, in the case, if there are three people who are waiting in the queue, we have to serve person one first. But at the same time, when you are serving person number one, if the new person, let's say person number 4, wants to enqueue himself or wants to register himself or wants to get added to the request in the service, then this person number 4 must stand after person number 3 or must stand uh, at the index number 4. Now we have to keep two indexes, one to serve from or to remove from where you want to remove the element, and one index from in where you want to insert it. So now we are maintaining two indexes. One is to from where you want to remove the person from the queue, that is to serve the person in the queue, and the second index where the new person who is requesting a service, where that person should go. So that is inserting a new person in the queue. So insert index, right? So let's say initially the queue is empty. Let's say there is nothing in the queue. So the queue size is maximum 5 elements. So when there is nothing in the queue, my insert index I and my removal index R, let's say, both are pointing to nothing. Both are null. They both are not pointing to anything. So as soon as there is one person, one entity gets enrolled in the queue, service queue, let's say this is the counter, service counter. So as soon as the one person gets entered in the queue, now we know that the removal, to whom you have to give the service, the very person who is in the first. So I will call here, this is my removal index. And where the new person should join next to the person 1. So my removal and insertion index both are pointing to first location. So as soon as the new person gets added to the queue, we will say insert plus plus I plus plus, and we will add a new person. Now here, from this location, the I will shift to the second index. Now my removal index is at 1 and insertion index is at 2, right? So similarly, when the new person enters the queue, this index will shift from second location to the third, and so on and so on. So in the case of a stack, the removal and insert and remove, the both indexes were represented with the help of something called as a top. In the case of a queue, we call something called as a front, and this represents the rear. So there are two indexes now, a front and rear. So front is the index from where we remove the element from the queue, and rear is the index from where we insert a element in the queue. So remember, front for removing the element from the array or from the queue, rear where you want to insert a new element in the queue or in the array. Now, let's say person 1 enters the queue and person 2 enters the queue. You are removing the first person, and then after serving the first person, you will serve the second person. Let's say there is a third person also. After serving the second, you will serve the third. So what kind of, in the terms of, let's say, what kind of a stack is memory? Stack is kind of last in. We sometimes even call the stack as last in, first out. Last in, first out. Or if we just reverse it, first in, last out. So I'm just interchanging the word, nothing else. So last in, first out, or first in, last out. So however you want to pronounce it, that is the stack memory. In the case of queue, it's first in, first out. First in, the entity, the number who enters the queue first gets served first. So the entity which entered first will go out first. The entity which entered second will go out second time. The entity which entered third index will go out third. Or if I have to reverse write it, you can also write it like last in, last out. Last in, last out. Sure. So instead of this, I can also write it as last in. If you enter the last in the queue, you will get served at the last. So first in, first out, last in, last out, both things indicate the same thing. In the case of stack, the last in, first out, or first in, last out indicates the same theory. So any confusion till the moment? Basically, right now what we have something called as a queue, which have two indices, where one is called as a front, one is a rear. And this is kind of a first in, first out memory, or a last in, last out of a memory. Are we sure? Okay. Great. So there is one limitation we have to understand about queue. Okay, now it's not a queue of a real life kind of, wherein when the person one goes out of a server, vacates the space, the second person goes and take the space. That scenario is not here in the regular queue, in this computer science queue. Okay, so let me take a blank sheet. Now let me draw the array again one more time. So this is the array, and I'll make use of this array to insert a number and remove a number. Let's say this is a numeric array. Let's create some location 1, location 2, location 3, 4, and 5 somewhere. Sorry. Then I'll be using two indexes. One is front. Let's say I'm calling it as F, and then there is rear. I'll be calling it as R. And initially there is nothing. So I'll be using some, like in the case of a top, and I was using a numeric index, we used it as -1. We have also seen the logic. If you start with the 0, how to handle it, how to do plus, plus, and minus, minus if you are starting at the index 0. So it depends on the programmer's view, what will be the value of the index when you are starting at the initial position. So let's say my both front and rear are pointing to negative values when there is nothing in the stack. Oh, sorry, not stack, in the queue. So I should use the proper wording now, queue. Now, the stack had two operations. One is push for the re-entering the value, and one is pop for removing the value. In the case of a queue, now instead of a top, we have two indices called as a front and rear. So insertion operator, right now there is nothing in the queue. So what you want to remove? Because the queue is empty. So let's first insert something inside a queue. So instead of insert something, we are going to make use of a method called as enqueue. Okay, and if I say 1, this means that you want to insert something inside a queue. So let's say I'm saying enqueue1. Now, as both indexes, front and rear, are pointing to nothing, empty, that is -1, first thing I'll do is I'll implement where we want to insert. we want to insert using rear. So we have to say rear plus plus. So rear will get pointing to the very first element. So I'll say using rear, I want to insert a value. So in the case of NQ, I have to make sure that I am incrementing the rear indicator or rear index by 1 and then inserting the number. So I'll say I have inserted 1. But now earlier, because the queue was empty, the front was pointing to -1. But there is an element in the queue now. So front also must increment to 1. So I'll say front plus plus. Now front and rear both will point to the index 1. Both are pointing to value 1. So if after this NQ, first NQ operation, what will be the value of front? It will be 1. And what will be the value of rear? It will be also 1. Both are pointing to index 1. Let's say we again executed NQ operation. So let's say this time I NQ 2. Now this NQ, second NQ is different than the first NQ operation because earlier there was no element. So we incremented front and rear by 1. But right now there is an element in the queue and the front should always point to the first person or the first entity in the queue. So while inserting the second number, the programmer's logic should take care that of incrementing. Let's say here I was incrementing both because both were pointing to -1. So if I'll say if R is pointing to -1 and F is also pointing to -1, then I'll say R plus plus F plus plus. Maybe this kind of a pseudo code is more than enough to inform you. But in the case when there is already element in the queue, that is front is not equal to -1 in this case, front have some value. In that case, you have to just increase R plus plus. So when there is already a presence of element, when we enqueue the second element in the queue, we are just incrementing R, rear index by 1. So in this case, the front will keep on pointing to 1 and the rear will now start pointing to the second index. Let's enqueue one more element. NQ3, NQ4, so 3, 4, NQ5, let's say NQ6. So we are saying NQ6. So all the time, whenever we are inserting a value, the rear will hop from current index to the next index. So here, my rear will reach to the last value, whereas the front is still pointing to the very first index, that is 1. Now, after inserting 6 by enqueuing 6, if I again say I want to enqueue one more thing, NQ7. Now there is no space available. There is no space available to insert 7 because rear is already pointing to the very last location. So here, like a stack was full, we have to give a message, queue is full. Queue is full. So this should be a message when you try to insert when the rear has already reached to the last index. Now, like NQ, you are enqueuing in the queue. There is operation called as DQ. Now look at the difference. Like push, we were passing a number which has to be inserted, and pop really do not take any number that you want to remove because you have no choice. You will be removing from the top. Similarly, DQ will not accept any number because DQ has to remove the element from the front only, nowhere else. So this DQ operation will increase the front. Now front is pointing to 1. So when you serve this person first person, the front index will point to the second value. Now here is the difference in the real world scenario and the computer science queue. In the real world, when the number 1 gets served, what generally happens is the person in the second position will walk to the first person's place. The person in the third place will walk to the second index. The person in the fourth place will walk to the third index, and so on. So automatically all the people will get shifted to the front by one place because we will walk simply to the one location next. But that really do not happen in the computer automatically. So we as a programmer has to take care of this. So when you write DQ, what happens is this front index wherein the first element was inserted, you are now pointing to the second index. So this memory location created here is no longer available for us. So it ultimately it means that you have earlier you were having 6 locations for the storage. Now you have just 5 locations. And let's say you are executing DQ operations. Let's say I again write DQ. Again, I'll write DQ. So 1, 2, 3. So my front will go from 1 to the 2, from 2 to the 3. So after 3 DQ operations, my front is already pointing to the uh, 3 times we have executed. So my front will actually remove this element and will point to the 4th element. So now the next person that will get a service is the index 4. If we keep on doing this, DQ, DQ, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, one more time, DQ. So it will automatically, your front and rear will point to the last index. And when you reach to the last index, as soon as you DQ the last element, it means that no longer insertion, no longer removal. No longer insertion, no longer removal. So this is the drawback of the queue in the case of a computer science, that uh, if you exhaust the space already, whatever space you have, then you will not be able to insert a new number in the queue. This is the problem of a linear queue. Okay. So we insert from the rear and we remove from the front. So let's take some example. Let's create a queue of size 3. Let's say there are 4 places in the queue. Now we will execute some operations. Let's say NQ1. So we will NQ1. Let's say we are again saying NQ2. So NQ2. So this becomes front, this becomes rear. So after NQ2, we will say DQ. So DQing this, what will happen is front and rear now both will point to the next index. So this location is not available for us now. So again you NQ. So rear goes to the next location. Let's say you have NQ'd 3. Again you NQ. Let's say you NQ'd again. NQ, let's say 4. So now rear will go from here to this. Now front is at 2 and rear is at 4. Now no more insertion is possible, no more NQ is possible. So of course DQ. So if you DQ one more element, front will travel from the second to the third. If you do one more DQ, front will travel from third to the fourth. And as soon as you remove the 4th element, DQ the 4th element, there is no possible insertion and there is no possible deletion or removal from the queue. This is called as a linear queue. Any doubt in linear queue? Any doubt in linear queue? Anyone have a doubt in linear queue? Great. So it's 10:56. There is something called as a circular queue. We will see that there is a very simple formula to overcome this. So the next programs that are in queue, what we have to in queue again I'm using. So the next programs that we have to solve. First is we have to convert an infix into the postfix form. That will be the next assignment. I hope that you people have already converted basic stack program into the functional based stack program, that everything is inside a push and pop function and you are not writing any code in the main method, heavy code in the main method, and no printf and scanf statement inside push and pop methods. I hope that assignment is already completed by most of the people. So the next task is postfix, pre-infix to postfix, and then implementing a simple queue. So I'll float these assignments, both assignments at the same time on Moodle. You people are free to work on the task of your choice at the first place. If you want to start with the queue, you can start with the queue. If you want to start with the functional stack, then start with the stack. Okay. Any doubt? Any doubt? Okay, great. So it's 10:57. Let's stop for this session. You are allowed to leave the meeting, no problem.